Okay, so as in the last video we have discussed about the types of the spectrum, in which we discuss about the continuous spectrum and the line, discontinuous or discrete spectrum. In today's video we're going to discuss about the further types of the discontinuous or discrete or line spectrum. So there are two types of line or discrete or discontinuous spectrum. What those types are: the first type is line absorption spectrum and another one is line emission spectrum. So let me write here. The first one is line absorption spectrum and another one is line emission spectrum. Line emission spectrum. Alright, now let me tell you what these types are or why they differ from each other, right? What is line absorption spectrum and what is line emission spectrum? Now, as I've already told you, the line spectrum or discontinuous spectrum or discrete spectrum are produced by the translucent, or you can say these are produced by the opaque object. And examples were elements, atoms, or you can say molecules, right? So when we pass a incident line or incident ray of any from produced by the any source, right, we make it pass through any element, atom or molecule. And we know that visible light is made up of 7 colors, right? Vigbor, in which violet, indigo, green, red, orange, pink, every color is included, right? So when we make it pass through any translucent or opaque object, for example, we are taking example here of element, right? When we make any incident ray or visible light pass through any element, some colors are absorbed into that element and some are produced, right? For example, let me make here. For example, I have a sunlight here. I have a sunlight here. When we take a ray of it, that is known as incident ray. That is known as incident ray, right? Incident ray. We know that it is made up of 7 colors. It is made up of 7 colors. Visible light is made up of 7 colors. Vigbor, Vigbor. Violet, indigo, green, blue, yellow, orange and red. It is made up of 7 colors. When we make it pass through an element, this is for example an element, right? This is an element. For example, this is any element, for example sodium, right? And sodium has a capacity to absorb yellow color to the Bunsen flame, right? It will gonna absorb the yellow color into it. This yellow color will be absorbed into it and there would be some colors produced. For example, here is the spectrum of this now, right? Here we have. So now Vig means violet. I don't have color here of violet, however I'm just making it. This is for example violet color. Let me highlight this. Okay, this is violet. Here I'll have red color. Here I'll have blue color. Vig green. Right here I'll have green color. What else colors are there? Violet is done. Indigo. I don't have of course indigo color, but I'm gonna write for example indigo color. Orange color. Here I have orange color, right? So these all colors would gonna be produced, however yellow color will gonna be absorbed into it. So the colors which will be produced here will be known as absorption spectrum. Absorption spectrum. However, when we cool down this element or atom of sodium, when we're gonna cool it down, cool down, then it will gonna produce this yellow color too, because we are cooling it down, right? So here this yellow color would be produced as well. Right? And that would be known as emission spectrum. Right? And there would be clear cut boundaries between these colors. Clear cut boundaries. Since this is the discrete, discontinuous, or you can say line spectrum, so there would be clear cut boundaries between these colors. And we have further divided it into absorption spectrum. As I told you, when you're going to take the incident ray from any source, right, we will going to pass or make it pass through any element, molecule, or atom. It will going to absorb some color. Every element, molecule, or atom has capacity to absorb some colors, right? For example, sodium has a capacity of absorbing yellow color, so it will going to absorb yellow color, and all other colors will be produced in this spectrum, and that spectrum would be known as absorption spectrum. However, when we're going to cool that sodium atom down, it will going to produce the absorbed color too, and that absorbed color would be produced, and that spectrum would be known as emission spectrum. So we have discussed the two types of spectrum as well, absorption spectrum and emission spectrum. So let me write here definition of it. Right? Every element has capacity to absorb some colors, and the spectrum produced in this phenomena is line absorption spectrum. Right? So this is what we call the line absorption spectrum. And line emission spectrum, when we're going to cool that atom down, wait, let me write here too. When we're going to cool that atom down, it will going to produce the absorbed color into it, then that would be known as emission spectrum. So line emission spectrum, it is produced from the radiations emitted by a substance is called line emission spectrum. Alright, so we discussed here in this video about the two types of line, discontinuous or discrete spectrum. The first one was line absorption spectrum, and another one was line emission spectrum, right? Line absorption spectrum, when we make any incident ray pass through any atom, molecule, or element, some colors are absorbed into it, and the spectrum produced in that phenomena is called line absorption spectrum. However, on the other hand, we have line emission spectrum. When that color is absorbed into that particular element, molecule, or atom, when we cool that atom down, it produces the spectrum too, and that spectrum is known as line emission spectrum. This absorbed color it produced, right, and that is known as emission spectrum. The emission spectrum is when produced, there are black background, right? They produce the bright lines with dark background. However, when the line absorption spectrum is produced, they produce the black bands with bright background. So this was all about two types of line discontinuous or discrete spectrum.